We're talking theme rides today, Todd, but it also has me thinking, how many pies do you think I could fit in my saddlebag? Our goal at Best Motorcycle Roads is to make your next motorcycle trip the best it can be. The bottom line is, it's not just about the miles. It's about the memories. So, like, if each trip has a theme and you make it into an adventure, you'll just never forget.
Yeah.
So on the mile marker today, we're talking how to pick and plan a themed ride. I mean, we've talked about a number of things, but I don't know that we've ever really said. We've talked a little bit about doing themed rides and stuff, but I liked when you were talking about this. Like, how do you kind of decide what you're going to do?
Right.
I mean,
Yeah.
I think when we first started out, we wanted to ride to Saginaw, Michigan, so we just did. And then I think as we kind of evolved a little bit, it's been more fun when we kind of come up with a theme. So, I don't know. It adds some excitement, fun, things to look forward to go seeing. Yeah, I don't know.
It adds a challenge to the planning and
Yeah, maybe that's it too.
And I know
hadn't thought about that.
you started a theme several years ago when we were going to ride to the Andy Griffith Museum. And I'm trying to remember, was it the name of the town? You found the same town name in like three
Yeah.
different states.
Yeah.
So we were going to try and ride to the same town and
Yeah,
in all the
I
different
mean-
states. It turned out that it was gonna be too long.
Yeah.
Like we couldn't make it.
I mean, so that's it, right? I mean, you come up with themes, and then it kind of just turns that trip. Maybe it helps with the story or the memory or the or something.
And
so,
some purpose and some direction. And
So you dug into some of these, I think, didn't you? Like you kind of came up with a list.
yeah, I kind of made a list of all the different themes that you could consider, and if you'd like to take one of these themes, go for it.
Yeah, I mean, this is just a starting point. I mean, I love this time of year for us. I mean, I know in the South right now it's pretty nice riding, but
Yeah.
we're planning because it's stinking cold and we're not riding. So
Yeah.
so
Yeah.
should we walk through them maybe you're thinking? Or?
Yeah, let's give it a shot. So, why don't you start?
No, well, yeah, go
all right.
ahead. No,
all
you're
right.
fine.
So, I was kind of thinking now. Generally, this is always one of our themes. However, we've never actually done it.
Yeah.
No interstates. The no interstate challenge. Explore just back roads only, small towns, 2-lane roads. But for us, there always comes a day when we just have to make it
It
somewhere.
seemed, well,
Yeah.
that's probably my fault, mostly because I'm trying to push too many miles. Like, I think
Well, yeah.
if you didn't do that, I mean, the only thing I can tell you is, like, there's been some times we went gone to some big cities. Like, for instance, let's just throw St. Louis in.
Mm-hmm.
We did this in Memphis once, too, I know. I would break the rule only when you were going through big cities because it's so...
Yeah.
You could either go all the way around, which I think would be fine, or go through on the interstate. Because some of these towns, there's just nothing but stoplights if you were like riding through the big
True.
town. But I think the goal here would probably just be avoid them altogether, right? That's what you do. You just wouldn't go to the
Yeah.
big city. You just avoid it.
Yeah.
By going around
Unless there's a place in the city that's part of your theme and you have to go.
True.
Yeah, I agree.
But that's a good. I mean, I like that. That's fun.
Yeah. Another theme I was thinking was like follow the music. Like iconic locations, recording studios, or homes of certain artists.
I
or-
know down in the Nashville area, in some of these, in the South more, I think there's some more like there's like a blues highway.
Yeah.
I think when you start to think about it, I mean, I know not too long ago we talked about the Grant Wood trip we took, but that's similar, right? Instead of following an artist, follow a musical artist.
Yeah.
We ended up at the Muscle Shoals
Recording
studio, and that was unbelievable. Like,
It was
one of the
fantastic.
coolest things.
Yeah.
And then I also remember asking when we were there, is like, well, is there a good local place to eat? And we ended up at that chicken place, and it was just great, So I think I love this idea. I mean, I think especially if you follow, I'm sure that digging into any given music artist, genre, or anything, you can kind of find where the home of it is.
Yeah, and and you were talking about following it like a blues artist or something. Then you could go to the guitar, like Gibson guitars.
Yeah.
Down there. We went to and
That
watched
was
them
cool.
watched
Yeah.
them build guitars, and there's so many ways to do this, and there's museums. Yeah.
I love it. Especially if everyone, and even like I wasn't super excited about going to the Gibson guitar thing. It was so interesting.
It was
Like,
so interesting.
and then we've been to, I think when we were in Memphis, we went to Elvis, and that was the Graceland. I mean, that's just a kind of a normal thing, but I don't know. We probably missed so many things, and if we start adding up together, finding more things that we could have went to. I mean, I know that
Yeah.
Like I think you can drive by his home in Tupelo.
Yeah.
So
Yep.
I think thinking a little harder, it probably would have been good.
Yeah, and along the music lines too. Several years ago, we took a trip, to Nashville, and our purpose was to catch a lot of live music, and then ride during the day, and then at night we wanted to pick up certain live music. So we planned around certain bands. Like we wanted to see the Time Jumpers, and they only perform on Monday nights, in Nashville.
Yeah.
So we had to make sure that we were there on a Monday night, and then maybe Tuesday we rode out to the Dragon or something.
Yeah, yeah,
yeah. But then did live music every
And
night.
you saw
so-
the Flat Tire Band that trip too, right? Oh wait,
Yeah,
that was just Mike's rear tire.
Yeah.
But I mean, you guys, we've done that too, where you guys have seen the Mummies, oh, and Hairball.
We went to see Hairball one
Yeah,
time.
I mean, I don't know. That's cool. I mean, wouldn't it be wild if you like followed them around, like if they were on like a little,
little tour?
Yeah, that'd be kind of.
You really could.
Yeah,
Yeah, you really could do that.
that's fun. What else you got?
Well, a No Chains culinary tour.
We've talked no chains before.
Yeah,
but
in recent episodes we've talked about
yeah.
no chains, meaning no chain restaurants, no chain hotels.
yeah,
And, if you could stop at only like locally owned diners and restaurants, we found so many great places doing that. Locally owned hotels, motels, mom and pop places. And
that made me think of a buddy of mine used to get a haircut once in a while at like an old barber shop if you
right.
found one too, and that's another thing that would be interesting.
that
I
would
think.
be another one. Yeah,
Yeah, you
that's a
could
great
do
theme.
something. It's so well. Number one, it's good for the local economy. Number two, you just seems like we always learn something. Like, we're always learning about something when we do that. And I think that we probably said this a million times, but there's just so many of the better memories come from when we do that. Like, as opposed to going to Buffalo Wild Wings or something. Not that Buffalo
Right.
Wild Wings is bad.
Yeah.
But like, I don't know, like, and I think this is the part that it takes a little more time. I think we talk about the pasties up in Michigan, but like, it's part of the culture, right? Like, and I think, what's the culture of these places? Like, what is it that they're known for? Like, what could you dig up? What could you find out?
And you do. When you go into those small places, mom and pop shops, you talk to them.
Yes.
And they'll say, make sure you stop and see this. Make
Yeah.
sure. Have you ever done this before? Have you
Yes.
ever seen this waterfall? And they can really lead you to some great things that you would not have known anything about.
Yeah, for sure. I love this idea too.
Yeah.
And I think that's just a theme that we kind of attach to most of the rides if we can.
Yeah.
I mean, it's hard. Only thing that's hard, of course, is like fuel stops. But other than that, I think you're in a good spot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Another theme might be like geological wonders, natural landmarks, Mississippi Palisades. I'm trying to
You
think
pick them. I mean, like, if you think of all around the U.S., I know, like, there's a ton of waterfalls if you're into that. There's a ton of lakes, ponds, barns. I mean, there's historical barns, historical places.
Geez, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, we talked, I think, sometime a few months back about, like, I didn't realize, we focus on the Midwest area, but you could focus, but I know, like, I did not realize, like, Missouri had so many battles, like, in the Civil War, I think, wasn't it? Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, that's interesting, too. I mean, you could pick a lot of things.
That's a theme ride right there.
Totally. I mean, those things, you could probably stay, you wouldn't have to ride very far if you didn't want to, and find a lot of things like that.
Yeah. And you mentioned barns, like at least around this area, we're known for round barns, but there's round barns all over the.
There are. I was on
States.
a Facebook group on that for a number of years, and they're all over the place. And
Yeah.
double round, oval, this, that, like Wisconsin's got some great barns.
Yes.
I know a lot of people do churches, abandoned churches, all that. Some of those end up on a lot of gravel roads because they're kind of older. Turk-like cemeteries and things. There's these cemeteries everywhere. Like it's pretty wild. So, yeah.
There's so many themes you could build.
Yeah.
There's so many ideas.
It's endless. For
it's
sure.
endless. Yeah.
You were talking about one that's just in Iowa, though.
Oh, the Freedom Rocks.
Yeah.
Yeah, the Freedom Rocks. There's 99 counties in Iowa.
I didn't realize this was just an Iowa thing at first.
Yeah, well, the artist is from Iowa, Bubba
Sorensen. Yeah.
And I'm trying to remember what year he started. this.
99.
Started in 99.
Yep.
Okay. And his goal was to paint a large boulder, like a I don't know if they're granite boulders, but they're
Yeah,
giant
they're big.
boulders. Yeah. And have one in each county of Iowa. And there's 99 counties.
Yep.
And on it, he paints themes of,
Local, like,
yes,
yeah, of
yeah,
each county.
yeah.
Like he researches.
He does some
Yeah.
research, and then he finds veterans and people that have served, and themes the whole rock. So every one of them is different.
Yeah.
They're beautiful. He did such a great job, and it would take you a few weeks if you tried to get to all 99. But
I think we should talk about that. That'd be a great future thing.
Yeah,
But he
let's-
did. I
we can do
looked
that.
it up when we were checking this out, and he's done his 100th Freedom Rock in 22. So that's when he finished that project, and
So
it's in
there
Altoona,
must-
Iowa.
Okay, so there
Just a
must
spare.
a spare.
Just,
Okay,
just in case one of them gets hurt, then they can bring that one. in.
I see. Yeah, so we have one right here in Solon.
Yeah, we do.
Johnson County, and it's fantastic. I remember when he was painting it, it was covered with a tent. He painted, and then when he was done, he covered it. Then there was a big ceremony.
That's cool.
And now it's kind of the centerpiece at a memorial that they've got.
It's neat.
Yeah. What else you got? for themes?
Well, I was thinking, we've talked a lot about going to the breweries, distilleries, different places we've been around. So that's an easy one, I think. We've been
Yeah.
to a bunch of tours.
Yep.
And I think, it seems like, at least in the Midwest, I know out west you could do probably wineries, but in the Midwest there's a ton of distilleries popping up in and around. I mean,
Yeah.
I can think of at least a dozen that are not too far away that you could do. So that'd be if that's your thing and you're into that. I know there's a special podcast that just talks about bourbons.
Yeah.
So yeah,
Yeah.
that's a
Bourbons
good-
are still hot.
yeah.
Yeah.
What else is on the list?
Like state high point rides,
I saw you put that. That's kind of cool.
it is. You go to find the highest elevations and
Yeah.
in specific states or regions, and
I think
why not?
what's it called? Is it Bald Knob
Yeah.
down in Illinois where that big cross is on that?
Yeah.
And I think you can see 5 states. It's unbelievable. There's
Yeah,
even more.
It's fantastic. We've
Yeah.
talked about it in
A
another
number of
episode.
times, but that's a
Yeah.
neat, and that's kind of, I don't know how you find that stuff. I mean, I know Brad found it because he kind of was down in that area
Oh, right,
before.
for college. Yeah.
But how would you find it? I mean, you just have to look it up. You have to dig in. I mean, that's the research part of these themings. But it's neat. I mean, it's cool up there on this hill. It's just a monster cross.
Yeah.
It's cool.
Yeah.
I mean, they do have some events at a lot of these places for a lot of these things. There'll be events at different times a year.
Yeah. You could do national parks, state parks,
Yeah.
of course, that would be a great one. Another theme would be a lot of fun would be like a movie tour, a movie location tour.
Oh my gosh.
I'm thinking of like states like Illinois. I mean, so many iconic movies there, Ferris Bueller's Day Off and Blues Brothers and League of Their Own, and it goes on and on. But you could go to a lot of the places where those things were filmed.
Yep.
If you're kind of a movie buff or whatever, and just want to have some fun with your friends.
Yeah.
And I think that would be a lot of fun. Every state. You could look up every state, we'll have a list of movies shot
That were
in the state or about the state.
Yeah.
Yeah. And
I like that.
And then go see.
Yeah.
I would go to a lot of the Blues Brothers ones myself, but
That's good.
how about a small town Iowa or small town America ride,
Well, that kind of talks about, I know there's a Santa Claus, Indiana.
Right.
And then there's we've been to Solon, Michigan, and then there's a Solon, Ohio. And so that's to us. So I think you could even pick out other interesting names and kind of do Google searches. I mean, I know in Kansas, there's a 1984 Kansas.
Oh, really?
Yeah, that's the name of the town. I think if you dug around, you could probably find some commonalities or weird names or those are always interesting little
Or look up
facts.
the crazy town names.
Right. The world's craziest town names.
Yeah, embarrassing town
roads.
names.
We've run into some crazy named roads.
Yeah.
Do a little research. Why is that like that? I don't know. I was thinking about railroad. There's railroads.
Oh, gosh, that'd be
different
cool.
railroad stuff where they cross, where they towers. I don't know. There's in Iowa, the public TV has all these old towers. I don't know, just things I think that probably weird things.
Right.
The world's biggest frying pan is in Brandon, Iowa.
Right.
You know,
You go find the world's biggest whatever
Something.
in each state.
yeah,
Yeah.
the state's biggest something or other. I mean, yeah, I mean it's just endless, and that's
Yeah.
I don't know. Those have been fun. You know, I know the one time we went to Minnesota, we were doing the giant. The Viking, we went to see the giant Viking. We saw the world's
Crappie.
biggest bluegill or crappie. I can't remember which.
Right.
There's a little bitty town in Iowa that has the largest bullhead. It's like a big metal bullhead fish. I mean, you can find something for everything.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. Find out what your group is interested in,
or not
and form a form
colors.
A theme.
I'm sure that there's like you
Right.
could do colors.
Yeah.
I love it. Love it. So
Oh, and like covered bridges. You know, Iowa's known for the covered
And
bridges
other
in
bridges.
in Madison County.
yeah, just different bridges.
Yeah.
You know, like all kinds
Different
of
styles.
yeah wood bridges. You could do
Yeah.
like yeah. I love that.
I think the covered bridge one would take you down some gravel roads.
Yeah.
But, so you might maybe that's not going to be your thing.
That
but
maybe not your bag. But.
yeah.
So, you know, now that you've got me thinking about this, maybe we could talk next week about like how to plan a trip based on some of these.
Yeah.
Like maybe we could dig into some of the ways that you might, we could grab a couple themes and that'd be good.
Yep.
But you know, like we've always said, I think one of the things just don't forget is to leave room for the unexpected things. Leave a little space.
Yeah, I mean, once you've met some of the locals and they kind of key you into some things, then you need some time. So
Right.
yeah, leave some extra time in
Yeah.
your planning so that
Well, and kind of be uncomfortable when you go, like, because that's when we find the weirdest stuff. You know,
Oh, yeah.
Sometimes it's just how do you get uncomfortable and do that? But
Yeah.
gosh, that's how we found like when Turk and I were way out on Olympic Island. We were riding on the ferry and we're like, oh yeah, we probably need to get something to eat. And they're like, oh, you gotta go to Fat Schmitty's, and it was like the craziest little dive bar place.
Really?
With a big old cheeseburger, you know, like, and it was just like, and the guy's like, well, look, when you go in the bathroom, look, my picture should be still up on the wall. It's like,
did he eat the old 96
it
or
was,
what?
it wasn't quite like that, but it seemed like it. And he's like, well, yeah, it was when I retired from the state police. We had a party at Fat Schmitty's, and my picture's right
Oh,
there
my
by the
gosh.
back. It's like, holy cow. So I don't know. I mean,
So was it good?
it was fine. It was good to be there. Like,
Yeah.
it was kind of neat, you know, how some of these local bars, they'll pin. This is a section we call the Toolkit. We share motorcycle gear review, and other riding tips. Well, kind of trying to figure out the toolkit with this was a little weird, but I dropped some things in that help. I mean, I know you guys are big on the Airhawk seats. You know, those are handy to have around.
Yeah, it's been a nice addition on my bike because my seat is over 20
Yeah.
years old. It's a little beat down, so adding that Airhawk cushion on there, and then you can kind of adjust the
That's what I was going to
the
say.
air
Is
pressure
the
in
good
there
thing
is-
about it.
Yeah,
You know, because at different times, it's nice to have a little less or a little more pressure. So,
yeah,
we've talked some about dry bags. You know, I like to use the Wolfman waterproof bags inside my bags, get 2 of them, and put all my clothes in one and then transfer the dirty clothes over the other one. But like dry packs are nice because even now, if you have the big touring saddlebags, it's not so bad. But you know, things get wet, you know, and that is kind of like that double protection. So
Yeah.
it's like a bags in bags. Have you ever used the quad lock phone mount? I know these are very popular right now.
I know. No, I haven't. I've got a
Did you got the Ram mount?
the Ram
X,
mount. Yeah.
X mount.
Well, no, I bought a different one.
Oh, you did?
Yeah, I bought one that's a little sturdier than the X mount.
But I do think when you're thinking about phone mounts, it's good to make sure that you have wireless charger if you can. 'Cause
I don't have that.
You've ran into some issues with
Yeah,
that.
so with some rain, you know, and I've covered up my phone on the holder.
Yeah.
While it was plugged in, which is fine. But then when you go in somewhere and I want to take my phone, you take the plug out, and then your plug is there in the rain,
Yeah.
and you forget about that. You come back,
really?
plug your phone in, and pretty soon you cook it because you get water up in
Yeah.
that jack. And yeah, I've done it twice.
Trust me. Ask me how I know.
Yeah.
The other thing, mini inflator, we've talked about these before. There's a pump type of inflator, and then there's also the CO2 cartridge type of inflator. Both of those are handy at times. And just for charging things at times. Like, you and I both have, like, battery tenders on, and then there's a USB charger for those, which is kind of cool. It converts. if you don't have like a USB.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, you can plug that in.
Oh,
and
I
then
didn't know that.
Yeah, that's a good one.
Yeah, that battery tender though is fantastic.
Oh my gosh.
All winter it's plugged in on that thing.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's
great.
what I do too.
Yeah.
And then toolkits are always good. Cruise Tools makes some like kind of bike specific, but as we've always said this, but as you're working on your bike, kind of write down or like get an idea which tools you're using so that you can kind of build a special toolkit just for your bike so you don't forget.
Yeah.
Good stuff.
Yep.
If you liked the podcast today, please like, subscribe, or sign up for our BMR Rider Alerts. It's our way of keeping you in the loop, and we promise no spam.
Keep their spirit of adventure alive, and remember, bikes, friends, and endless roads, the stories ride forever. Take care.